The consumption of coffee and its possible effects on staving off dementia and/or Alzheimer's disorder. Welcome. My name is Tiffany Robb, and today I will give an audio review of the following study, Gender Differences in Tea, Coffee, and Cognitive Decline in the Elderly, the Cardiovascular Health Study. The research problem. Both men and women are generally living longer around the world. With longer lives comes more age-related ailments. Something else we can count on is that as life expectancy rates increase, so will cases of Alzheimer's disease and dementia in both men and women. Physical activity, social engagement, caloric restriction, and mental exercise are four main areas researchers are turning to, hoping for solutions. At present time, we are still grasping for straws and trying to find a way to delay Alzheimer's disease and dementia, for now on known throughout this review as cognitive decline. Still, there are no known cures. But what about coffee and tea? Two of these straws that researchers are grasping onto are coffee consumption and tea consumption. At the time of this study, there had already been 7 separate studies conducted on coffee and tea consumption, either together or individually. In all 7 cases, researchers were trying to find out if there was some correlation between the consumption of these two products and the slowing of cognitive decline. In the study I am reviewing, it is mentioned that the similarities between coffee and tea simply stop at caffeine. Although tea does contain theanine, which is known as a neurostimulant, both independently and combined with caffeine, the research presented here has focused only on caffeine. Caffeine has many known benefits. It is known to enhance cognitive performance, information processing speed, attention, and reaction times. The sampling methods used within this study, for it to be successful, researchers thought it best to run alongside a study for approximately 9 years, a cardiovascular study known as CHS. All of the methodology in the study was quantitative. There were many questionnaires conducted, which intake. Cognitive assessments were conducted with a 3MS or 100-point modified mini mental state examination, which is a very common way to measure global cognition. And laboratory testing was done, but I could not figure out what laboratory testing they were speaking of in the study. The participants who were enrolled were all enrolled between 1989 and 1990. All were 65 years of age or older, and in total, there ended up being 4,809 participants. Something to be noted was that the researchers did not include some 687 African American men and women in this study due to not having adequate information on their nutritional documentation from the start. The study design. All of the participants fell within one of the 4 categories: coffee or tea consumption less than 5 times a year, 1 to 3 times per month, 1 to 4 times per week, and more than 5 times per week. Out of the 4,809 participants, 2,722 were women and 2,077 were men. Their daily intake assessments were taken between the years 1989 and 1990 and repeated again between 1995 and 1996. The 3MS or cognitive function examination was conducted on each individual annually from the years 1990 to 1999. If the participants were unavailable to be examined in person for the 3MS examination, then a TICS or telephone interview for cognitive status examination was conducted over the phone. An information questionnaire on cognitive decline in the elderly, or an IQ code, was conducted twice through the study, once at the beginning of the study and the second time at the end of the study. The findings obtained from this study were that people who drank a large amount of coffee didn't consume large amounts of tea, but that people who drank large amounts of tea did consume large amounts of coffee. It was also discovered that people who drank more decaffeinated coffee were more likely to drink larger amounts of tea. This study did show that there was a small decrease in the cognitive decline for women, but it did not end up showing any consistent information to determine the effects on men. Further research questions raised by this study were how they could find out the appropriate dosage of caffeine intake. How often should the participants' consumption behavior be measured, since there is always a chance of people forgetting what they've consumed? And why are men not showing any effects? Though gender differences in tea, coffee, and cognitive decline in the elderly, the Cardiovascular Health Study, was a great study, there are many questions unanswered. The biggest one I had is if none of these studies have shown significant benefits of caffeine consumption and its staving off Alzheimer's disease or dementia, why is my grandmother swearing it does? Thank you very much.